Vasudevendra Yogendram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Bhidiyate. So we have finished the Tattva, the reality of Atma. And we have proceeded on to the next section, the reality of the world. And the question arose, how did this world come? If there is only one, then how does this one have the capacity to manifest this world of two? So we need to resolve this contradiction. There is one, and yet there are not two, there are many. So this needs to be resolved so that we can see this world in a different light. Until then, if we let you go now, then yeah, there is some knowledge, but then we're surrounded by a world of multiplicity. So we have to now account this world, this creation, this how did all of this begin? And we pointed out the common or the universal belief is that when someone looks at anything in this world, like a pot, the pot has a function, it has some intelligence behind it. There is one side is open, one side is closed. So this means there is some intelligence there. This means whoever created this pot must know why is one side to be closed and the other side to be open. And sometimes there's a handle, why there should be a handle. So all of these small details mean there is a thinker, there is a intelligence behind this small creation. But then if we inquire into this world, then there's a tendency to look at the world in the same way. So if like the pot had a creator once upon a time, who I no longer see. Where's the creator of this? I don't see the creator. Where is he? He's somewhere else. And the material doesn't come from here, it comes from somewhere else. So like this, when we attribute this understanding to the world, then it tends to be a similar thing, a similar mistake, a similar superimposition of this idea. And so now then, of course, creation theories come in, and there are many. There are from all the way from Aristotle. There is from Plato. There are Greek. There are Hindu. There are even in the Middle East. There are all sorts of theories that are trying to explain how this world came about. So now, when Vedanta steps in, what does Vedanta say? Vedanta says that it poses the question, what is creation? We use the word srishti. Srishti, this means in Sanskrit creation, srishti. What is creation? Creation is, if you think about it, anything that is put together. How so? Randomly? No. Intelligently. Anything that is put together intelligently. So what does this mean? You take any object in this world and it will have one function or another. It will not be a random creation. It will have a function relative to something else. The rain has a function relative to the plants. The plants have a function relative to the animals. Animals have a function relative to the weather. The weather has a function relative to the Earth's rotation. The Earth's rotation has a function relative to the sun. The sun has a function relative to hydrogen and helium, nuclear fission taking place. The light has a function in reference to how fast it travels. The eyes have a function in reference to seeing because there is light. So this means what? Even because there are eyes, what this means that intelligence also understands the function of the sun, understands the function of the eye, understands the function of the food, understands the function of how your stomach is to digest this food, understands or has to understand the function of everything in order for this intelligence to create. So what is creation? It is anything intelligently put together. Okay?
Is a thought also creation?
Of course. So just the possibility for one thought to follow the next thought, and that thought to even go away for the next thought to come, just that going away, that's a principle of sequence. Now, sequence itself is what? It's intelligence. You know, just to say sequence, it's an intelligence. One, next one, next one, next. So there's an order. Okay. So anything put together. Now, if you think, for example, what's well put together? Think about a spider's web. Spider's web, very nice creation there. We got ant hill. We got what? We got your organs. We've got a bird's nest. You know, just a little bird. How does a bird know how to build a nest? This is amazing. You and I don't know how to take little branches and build a nice nest. A bird knows this. So this means a bird enjoys some level of intelligence in reference to its home. Its home that it can rest and it can give birth and it can raise its children and it can have it can sleep inside. So this means the bird must know its function relative to the tree and how and where to get the branches from nature and how heavy they must be, how small they must be, and in what way to position those branches in such a way as to create this strong structure. My God, did you see a nest? It's worthy of studying in itself. So that's just the nest, right? You can wow, you know, and there's a little hole. And I tell you, what do they do with these nests? They put them right at the end of a branch where, and I don't know exactly how this works, but in such a way that the snake cannot reach. So I believe they put it in a branch, or the nest, they put it underneath, not on top. So obviously, so the rain doesn't fall. So they put the hole underneath. So this way, the nest, the rain cannot fall, but neither can the snakes enter. I don't know how it works. You have to ask the bird. Okay, but the point is, this is very intelligent. And an anthill, you know, very interesting. They were, maybe it's inhumane, I don't know, but they wanted to see how intelligence, these ants, how they create these little holes and tunnels inside their big cities underground. And so they pour concrete inside an hill hills under pressure. And so they let this concrete cure. And then they took the soil away. Man, this was complex structures of tunnels in such a way they analyze it through computers. The tunnels were built in such a way as to provide the right ventilation, to provide the shortest distance between two tunnels. So the tunnels are going like this. So obviously the ants will make a tunnel here and not all the way here, as to save themselves some time. And everything about this tunnel was intelligence. And it is, I'm telling you, it is like 3 meters from here to there, 2 meters high. All tunnels made for different purposes. This is intelligence. Now, how do ants even know what they're doing when it's dark? They don't even know where they're digging. And yet, there is a intentional intelligence behind their creation. So bird intelligence, ant intelligence. You look at anything in this world, it is intelligence. And what do we do with this intelligence? We then study it. We read science books about it. We have courses about it. We want to know. We want to know this intelligence that makes all things put together work well. Now, suppose a man creates an airplane. In fact, we did invent the airplane. Wright brothers, in the early, I believe, 1890, they began to research different ways of putting a machine into the sky. And what happens? They failed. So what do? We looked at nature, how birds, dynamics, how do they work? We studied birds in the sky and we replicated what's already out there and we put it into our own machines. And then they failed again. And then they said, how can we properly tilt this plane? Because they couldn't get proper direction. They had lift, but they couldn't get direction. So they noticed the birds, they kind of, they tilted their wings in the opposite direction like this. And so they added this kind of tilting to their early prototype. Instantly, they had some success of steering the airplane. So, but then what happens? They got, we got it. But then what happens? On and on, year by year, improvement. Why? Because the mind who created that did not have all knowledge. Therefore, you needed someone else with their knowledge to add onto this knowledge. Whereas, if you look something in nature, can you improve it further? We only borrow from nature. We cannot improve from nature. The bird has already perfected its flight pattern. Why? Because when man creates, what is creating? Limited intelligence. When nature creates, what is that created? That is total intelligence. You cannot improve total intelligence, but there's always room for improvement for partial intelligence. Borrowing from where? From total intelligence, putting it into partial intelligence. Borrow, put. Borrow, put. So now the question is, where are we borrowing from? What is this from which we are borrowing from? This is what we call this vast order. So this order presupposes what? Presupposes knowledge. Knowledge of everything. How things are to work together, why they are to work together, what is their function of working together, what will happen next, what will happen before, how is everything connected. This is an order implying knowledge. Now, in this case, knowledge, I'm not referring to what? Chit. This is knowledge of information, how things are to work. You understand the difference between these? Okay? So not knowledge chit, this is just how things are to work. Knowledge of this, knowledge of how the flower grows and photosynthesis, this kind of knowledge. So knowledge implies what? Knowledge or requires what? It requires the presence of a conscious being. You can have all of the knowledge in the world right now. What to say of it if one is in a coma? It is no conscious being in whom that knowledge can take place. What to say of your knowledge? Useless. So even knowledge requires or depends upon a conscious being. And therefore this conscious being, is the one who has knowledge of all things. All things, why they are working, how they are working, when they are working. And this all knowledge is what we call nimitta karanam. Nimitta karanam, in other words, the intelligent cause. The intelligent cause of the universe. What do I mean by this intelligent cause? You look at anything, can you not see intelligence? Can you not recognize intelligence? Where is intelligence? Well, even to say where is intelligence, what had to happen? Your brain cells, worked. The brains fired from one direction, from another direction. Electricity traveled from one part to the other. And then that sent a signal through the lips to say, what intelligence? How many processes just took place just to ask a question? Did you create that process? Did you sculpt, how these brain cells are to work from one direction to the other? Are you modifying, the direction of your brain cells? No. It is, you came with it. You came provided with it. So this intelligence is what allowing you to even ask that question. This intelligence is even holding your body right now together and causing the heart to pump 70 plus minus 80 whatever times per minute, so that, and not more or less. Otherwise, some imbalances happen. It's maintaining your blood pressure right now to remain decently focused. It's digesting that food that we just had in there. We're not digesting the food, it's happening of its own. how the enzymes are being released and how many enzymes are to be released. That is also intelligence which you're not even now aware of, and yet it is happening this very moment. Therefore, okay, so this nimitta karanam means intelligent, or another word is we call it efficient cause. Efficient. Why efficient? Because if you look at anything that's efficient, efficiently made, it's efficiently made, which implies it's intelligently made. So we call it efficient. That means very, very efficient. Okay? For example, we have a spider. Spiders are lovely fellas, and they create their own web using their own intelligence. The spider doesn't borrow or read books in a library. It's already inbuilt into the spider. So now the spider is nimitta karanam in reference to its creation, because its creation is the web. The web has a geometrical shape. It has a structure. It's built as a patterns. You see in the web how it looks. So this means the spider becomes the efficient cause relative or in reference to its web. Okay? So just an example, just to help you. So this means creator, the intelligent, this nimitta karanam is what? The efficient cause of this universe. And this nimitta karanam is what we call Ishvara. Ishvara in Sanskrit. So Ishvara is what now? Ishvara in one word just means cause. In English we call that God. But in Sanskrit we call it Ishvara, which literally just means cause. Full stop. Call it Lord, Bhagavan, God. Okay. In Sanskrit, Ishvara. Cause. So what is this cause so far? This cause is nimitta karanam. In other words, it is the cause of the universe. But look at this now. Suppose that, in the scriptures, there is a logic given, and it says, what does it say? Gatasya karta gatadnyaha, sarvasya karta sarvadnyaha. So very nice logic. It says so what is gata? It's a pot, right? So the pot maker has pot knowledge, has knowledge of the pot. So in other words, the one who made the pot has knowledge of the pot, no more, no less. They don't even know what the clay is made of. They don't even know what's inside the clay. All they know is, let me have one side open, one side closed. That's all I need to know. Why? So I can put water into it and drink. Whereas sarvadnyaha karta, sarvasya karta sarvadnyaha, the one who created everything, logically must know everything. So the one who created the pot must have knowledge of the pot, whereas the one who created everything must have knowledge of everything. So therefore, what? Who created this? See, how do you know that there's one intelligence that created all of this? How do you know this? Because through observation. Tell me one thing that is not connected to something else here. One thing that is not connected to something else. The periodic table of elements that are inhering in this hand are no different than on any other planet that you'll find out there. And even if we haven't found something, so what? It's just another element. You break it down, it's still atoms. So this means the creator must have all knowledge. Now, see this. So what? Nimitta karanam is not enough for creation. If you have knowledge, so what? I have knowledge how to make a house. Or suppose you have knowledge of how to make like a roti or a pancake, right? And all you do is this, suppose you just have skills and you want to make a pancake or a roti and you just flap your hands like this, right? You got no knowledge of anything, but you got skills, right? And you just flap your hands. You don't even know how to flap your hands properly. Are you going to make anything like this? No. But suppose you got knowledge and you just got knowledge, but no skills. But you got knowledge, right? Nothing gets created. Now, suppose you got knowledge and skills. Okay, so now I'm gonna, Did anything get created? No. So this means not only is the creator what nimitta karanam, but also has to be sarva shaktiman. Sarva shaktiman has to be all power. Okay, because power is is required amidst also knowledge to take place. Now the creator cannot borrow skills. How are you going to borrow skills? So if your intelligence, if you don't even know how to sort of communicate, because that requires some effort, that requires some shakti. So how are you even going to call up your friend, your creator number 2, and say, hey, can I borrow some skills? Because you need skill for that, just to dial the phone, but you don't have the skill, so you only have intelligence. So how are you going to call up your creator number 2? So this means creator does be what? One and the same, knowledge and power. So this power we call in English, we give him names like Almighty. So all-knowing, right? All-knowing, and now he is also almighty. Okay? So in other words, he can wield this world. He can wield this world and create all things that are connected together. So what have we discussed so far? Creator is nimitta karanam and sarva shaktiman, the efficient cause and is the power behind the creation. Now this is easy. What we have discussed so far is easy. We all know this. In fact, most traditions will tell you, yeah, we know that the creator is all-knowing, right, and almighty. He is omniscient and he is omnipotent. But all problems start, I tell you, when you ask the question, where is this creator? Oh, now we have opened up a different topic altogether. And what's the common response? Where is this creator? Instantly, right hand like, right? So now, they say he's above. But now you ask a question. Okay, what kind of aboveness is this? Is this buddhi above? Is this above your intellect? Or is this like location above? And they would tell you, well, it's obviously a location above. Where is this location? Well, he's in heaven. Depends on what language you use. He's in heaven. He's in Kailasa. He's in Vaikuntha. He's above there. Ah, okay. So now Vedanta has a big problem with this. We don't accept this kind of rationale. So how does Vedanta counter this? He says, we have no problem with you saying heaven exists. Because the fact is, you and I cannot prove that. We cannot prove heaven, nor can we disprove heaven. Understand? So Vedanta is not interested in whether heaven exists or not. In fact, it's more likely that heaven does exist because it's mentioned in the Vedas. It's mentioned in the Vedas, which are considered the authoritative texts of truth. So it's more likely that heaven does exist. But what we don't accept is that God is in some location in heaven. Why not? Because then obviously an objection comes. Okay, so where was God before? Suppose we have now a father and a son. This is how it usually takes place. A son, how they want to know, right? They want to know. Ask Dad, where is God? Son, he's in heaven. And the father is very proud, right? He's answered his son. Dad, so God created heaven. Yes, he did, son. Ah, so where was he before heaven? Because I heard that there's only two other places. There's heaven and hell. So was God in hell before he created heaven? And then what father says, shut up, son. So what do we have now? We've got the shut up parampara. In other words, the shut up lineage. So now when the father cannot answer these questions, where was God before heaven? Well, he was elsewhere. So, so even if he was in hell, then who created hell? Where was God residing if he created hell also? So now the father cannot answer this question because there's only two options, heaven and hell. So what? The father is now cornered into, a corner, right? He's displeased with the son's questions. He himself is perhaps frustrated. He cannot answer this. And why not? Because the question has a problem. If you ask, where is Andre? What are you presupposing?
He's not here.
He's not here right now. Where is God? What are you presupposing? God is not, that means God is elsewhere. So now the father cannot answer this because he doesn't know anymore. And the son just innocently asks this simple question. Where is? It's an innocent question. So what's the solution? The question needs to change. Otherwise, you simply cannot answer this because it's illogical. So what do? See, rationalists, why do they discount God entirely? Because this is their point of recognition of error. They say, where is this God? Can't see it. All I see is just what? The world. Where is God? Ah, you see? God doesn't exist. And so the rationalist now dismisses God entirely, including the nimitta karanam, right? The efficient cause, and sarva shaktiman, the power that puts all things together. So this is the rationalist, the atheist's view of why they dismiss God, because they find a loophole, and on that one loophole, they dismiss the entire thing. And that loophole, where is that loophole? It's always in the same question: where is God? So to resolve this, what do? We must answer, or we must ask, we must inquire into the material. We must inquire into the material of this world that we experience all the time. So you see, you can't make, again, as I said, a pancake or a roti or anything without material. Even if you have intelligence and power, you're just going to flap your hands and know that you know, but you cannot do anything about your knowledge. To build a house, you need power, right? You need energy behind you. You need knowledge, the architecture of how the house, how deep will the foundation go, but you also need material. So therefore, now this, so the first two are useless. You need the third, you need the material. So the question arises, where did Ishvara get its material from? Where did Ishvara get its material from? Now, what kind of a question? Where did God get its material from? Now, there are several options to this. But suppose God borrowed material from elsewhere. So now there's two problems with this. Can you recognize them? If I say God borrowed materials from elsewhere, there's two problems that arise instantly. Number one, to borrow, I'm doing this what? I'm borrowing it in time. Once upon a time, I had no materials, and now, at one moment, I borrowed materials. So this happened in time. But now, who created time? Because time itself is a material. It's just a very subtle material. So you have to now ask, who's the creator of time? And the second problem is, if God borrowed materials from elsewhere, what does this mean? If you look into any material, it's intelligence of itself. You look into an atom, it's got a nuclei, it's got a proton, neutron, electron. That is an intelligence. You look into hydrogen, it's got a certain weight. Every atom has a certain weight to itself. And so what? Every material is intelligence. So now, if I borrow material, this means that's a total contradiction, because that material is intelligently created, and yet me, the intelligent one, am borrowing intelligent material, intelligently created material. You understand? Two problems. One, time. It's an issue of time. If I borrowed material, I borrowed it at some point of time, but time itself is a material. And the second is of space. If the material was away, that means now who created space, and how big was that space between God one and God with the material. So, but time and space itself is material. So what's the other logical possibility here? That time, space, and all objects, all materials are not different from Ishvara. It comes out of Ishvara. Therefore, the materials come out of this one cause, who is now the efficient cause, and the Upadana Karanam. Upadana Karanam is the material cause. Nimitta Karanam and Upadana Karanam. So, again, coming back to the spider, we have an example. A spider is now not only a nimitta karanam in reference to its web pattern, but also the upadana karanam, the material cause in reference to its web. So the web comes out of the spider, right? So the spider is the material cause of its web, a complex web of itself. It's a complex web, and it's got substance to it. But also, the web is intelligently created. So this means, metaphorically, God is what? Spider God. The spider God is both the efficient and the material cause of its web, of its little web. But there's actually a better example to demonstrate this. Because now you can easily argue, well, but the spider still walks away. It still walks away from his creation. So this means that, what, does God walk away from his creation? So you have to understand the importance of examples in Vedanta. An example can only take you so far. How far can it take you? In this case, the spider is still away from its web. Therefore, you're going to now think, oh, okay, so how do I resolve? Do you have a different example that you can show us where the creator is not away from their creation? You see? So what do we do with the spider example? We put it aside. It's done its job. We need to bring example number 2, which is your dream. In your dream, there's nothing. There is nothing in, when you sleep, there is no materials, there is no nothing. When you sleep, I'm not talking about dream. And then what happens out of this undifferentiated you? Out of this undifferentiated, this nothing. What happens out of nothing? What comes the efficient and the material cause that creates your entire dream world. And this dream world in itself is, the whole thing is coming out of you. So you pervade, you the conscious being pervade your entire dream. So this means you, in your dream, are literally God, in reference to your own world. You become Ishvara, you become God in a dream every single night. What does this mean when I say God? You become the intelligent cause and the material cause of your world, of your characters, your mountains, your space, your fire, your earth, your faces, your hair, your organs, your machinery, your flowers, your clouds, your gravity, your light, speed of light, your moon, your sun. The whole thing originated out of whom? Out of you. So therefore you now become Ishvara in reference to your dream. Now tell me this, in your dream, where is not you? Find me one place in your dream that is not you. The whole thing is you. Okay? And when I say you, what is this you? The creator of the dream. That means you, Ishvara. Okay.
Can I ask a question? So the dream came out from my own being. So you're saying I created this dream, therefore the dream is also me. Well, what is the reason that came out means already separation, individual.
Got it. So this will be put slightly later when we talk about a different term, okay? But I understand. So now you're talking about what is this coming out? Is it separation? No, it's not separation because everything is made out of you.
Yet, spider and net, they look different. Dream and my being looks different. Once I realize this dream, the dream is gone. I'm no longer feel that, the dream itself has its own character, word. I know it came out from me, yet I'm no longer attached to whether, I don't know, something I feel like is came out means already separation.
There's no separation between you and the dream. Is there any separation between you and the dream? No, the whole dream is just you. Okay, it's just you taking a different form of a dream. So there's no question of coming out and in. And even if it does come in, where does it come into? It comes into you. The dream arises out of you. It's a manifestation of you. It goes back into you. So there's no question of separation at all here. Okay? And also I want to say that, sometimes we would take these examples, especially the dream one, and what we would do is we would try to make more of it, right? But what about, listen, the only purpose of this dream example is just to demonstrate how it's possible for one being to pervade the whole thing and you not to be separate from that thing. You understand? That's where the example stops.
But in this regard, it's a perfect example, isn't it? Like, that it's one being out of which everything is manifested.
Say again, I didn't hear it.
It perfectly fits the situation, the reality, right?
Yeah, it does. So now I want you to understand, it's just, now leave the dream example alone. What was the purpose of the dream example? We went from spider, okay, to demonstrate spider is both the efficient and the material cause. And then spider walks away. Well, Ishvara doesn't walk away. So now we put the spider example away, and then we complement the example where there is no question of walking away. Are you walking away from your dream? Did you walk away from your dream?
Wake up.
Yeah, exactly. In that case, the dream goes into you. So in the dream, there's no question of you. It's only because you're there that the dream is. So you're not walking away from anything. So that was the point of the example. Okay? So in that same way, there's no question of Ishvara walking away when he creates this whole thing right now. Is this clear?
Yes, I got attached to it, that thing, narrow sight somehow.
Okay, no problem.
Spider even has another nice thing. It also eats its web, of course.
Eat its web, yes.
That's also like
I've never seen that.
eating his world.
Yes,
Manifestation.
indeed.
Non-manifestation.
But also with the dream, it resolves into you. Okay, but this will come slightly later, this resolution. So now, yes, indeed, Felix said it right. So he said it's exactly like that so exactly like the dream, what happens? The Big Bang, okay? It's a nice model that the science uses, the Big Bang, whereby the universe arises out of this Ishvara. Therefore, the whole world is what pervaded by this nimitta and material, nimitta and upadana karanam. And this is why we have in Hindu, mythology or creation, we have always a he and a she. We have Vishnu and what's this? Lakshmi, Vishnu and Lakshmi. So we have a he and a she. He, the intelligence, and she, the material. Now you can also take that the other way into consciousness, but in this case, he, the intelligence, and she, the material. Brahma and Brahmaji, and who's sitting on his tongue? Saraswati, right? So in other words, Brahma, he's the, in this case, you need both of them to create the world. You need a he, the intelligence, and you need she, the material. Okay? So this he and she, so exactly like the dream, just the whole world arises, just like that. And then when you analyze this world, like, wow, what is this world? Like the dream characters are right now analyzing your world. And they're saying, who created this world? Was it Rama? Was it Allah? Was it Jesus? God in heaven? And they start to have debates. They start to have arguments, right? And there's some knockouts happening. There's some, debates happening. And the whole thing, they're talking only about you, the one without a second. But yet, owing to their, different opinions, they want to attribute different opinions. And so this show never ends. But every person who's even debating is not different from that one, from the one cause called Ishvara. Okay? So this is to be slowly understood. Now, here's the most important question. Listen carefully. Shall we use God? Can we use God now? God, Lord, Ishvara. Okay? They're all exactly the same names. Forget about everything you heard about God. When we say God in this class, I only mean one word, cause of the universe. And what is this cause of the universe? Nimitta karanam and upadana karanam. Okay, so this means the intelligent and the material. If God, if Ishvara is the creator of all of this, and you are surrounded by material, you're sitting on material, your body is material, the pen is material, the paper is material, the light, photons, nothing but photons is material, space is just very subtle material, time is also material, hair is material. The ear hairs that are now vibrating, picking up the sound and converting that into electrical impulses. The electrical impulses is material. Those impulses sending these signals into the brain is material. The brain cells now registering this language and recalling the right words from your memory. Memory is material. You're surrounded by material. Where is God? Where is God not? Understand? So where is God? God is in the very lips that just ask, where is God? Where is God? The air that's being breathed right now is God. Where is God? In the very brain cells that just helped me to make the right connection and ask this question. Where is God right here, right now? Where is God not? The whole thing is nothing but material. Therefore, how do you know God? You know God in the materials of the world, because God is the nimitta and upadana karanam. Therefore, what happens now, no longer do I have to ask the questions, oh God, show me in whatever form you are, to that I do my namaskara. The very hands right now are material, is God also. So this means this journey of looking for God in the Himalaya mountains or going and traveling all over the place ends, because show me where material is not. Just like someone in your dream asking, where is the creator? I want to find a creator. Where's the creator? And you got philosophers doing this for hundreds of years, looking. And yet the whole thing is you. Only one without a second. One efficient, one material cause in the whole thing. And yet the individual is making comments, there's no God, God is this, God is evil, God is good. All these useless questions are being posed. And yet they're only saying that, why? Because of God. Because of God. Because of this material and intelligence holding their organs together, causing the heart to beat, breathing and converting oxygen, expelling out carbon dioxide. How many of these things are you doing? It's happening automatically. All you're doing is just sitting here. How many things are now working in your body? Think about it. Hey, let's analyze your organs. Limbs connected. There's a digestive system. We analyzed prana. There's circulation. There is now food digestion. How many things are going on right now for this to even happen? Think about the complexity of intelligence required to build an earth that happened 4.5 billion years ago. And then slowly, the rocks to cool down, and then the volcanoes to come, to water vapor to cool down, and then give the rains, and those rains to form oceans, and then the oceans to build the smallest amoeba, and then the amoeba to slowly find its way into a bigger fish, and then the fish to come out onto the ocean and develop some legs, and then that ocean, that creature to adapt its digestive system for land plants instead of a marine life, and that thing to eventually evolve into a more complex organism. From a single cell organism, we have you. A single one cell, I tell you, one cell. Did you ever see a sperm cell in a microscope? Yeah? It's alive. It knows where to go. It doesn't get lost. Oh, what's my purpose here? It finds the egg. It knows what to do. And yet it is such a simple creation. So this means even the smallest is imbued with intelligence. And this intelligence always has a function. And then not only when it attaches to the egg, but then you have the fetus, and then you have several months. Why not 12 months? Why 9 months? Understand? Why is the baby so heavy? Why not more heavy, less heavy? All of these questions are relative to this intelligence. So this means if you change one variable, take away summer, what happens? The whole ecosystem falls apart. So there's not one thing that we can improve here, because we're talking about all knowledge. Therefore, when we say nimitta karanam, we're talking about what is Ishvara? All knowledge, all power.
So the materialists and the scientists, they recognize the mechanisms, but they don't call it intelligence or Ishvara. They call it nature or...
Right.
So the materialists, they observe the same things, but the interpretation, they don't call it intelligence or God. They just say, okay, this is the way a cell develops. It's a mechanism.
I see. They call it nature.
So there's still like subjective or disputable thing.
Yeah.
That the intelligent cause, materialists say it's just happening, and it's a physical, observable development, and that's it.
Yeah. So you see, it's one step better than denying and not asking. So we have to give it, and then eventually you want to now ask, okay, but then how did the universe come? How did all these materials arise? In fact, we haven't even talked about, my God, we've got a lot more to discuss. How did this world come? Okay, for now, what is Ishvara, Nimitta, All knowledge, all power. Okay, this is God. Now we need to slowly move on because we got so much to cover. Okay. Okay. So as I said some time ago, we have in Chandogya chapter 6 says, Shvetaketu says to his, Udalaka says to his son Shvetaketu, dear son, so starts Saumya, dear son, Sat Eva, idam agra asit ekam eva aditiyam. So in other words, Saumya, my dear, Sat Eva idam agra asit. Before this material, before this creation, existence alone was. And what kind of existence? Ekam eva aditiyam. This existence was without second. So there was only one existence. Now, so this means that, see, just like in deep sleep, right? There's no individuality, there's no world. You alone are. You, the undifferentiated self, are in deep sleep. And then what happens? Out of this comes what? The differentiated world. Comes the world of names and forms. So again, just like that, through these examples, it's exactly how creation takes place. In the beginning was just one homogeneous content, existence, just one existence. From this existence arose this world of differentiated names and forms. So now, see, and what happens? These names and forms, this world, goes through what we call a creation, sustenance, dissolution. And we have a certain cycle. So the universe, just like when you're awake, just like when you dream, okay? From deep sleep, you dream. And then the dream lasts for a couple of minutes. We call that srishti, creation. And then this dream lasts for how many minutes? Let's say 50 minutes. And then what happens with the dream? It goes back into you. We call this dissolution. And then again, what happens? Again, the dream comes. Scientists say that you dream several times per day, per night. So like this, dream comes, resolve. Dream comes, resolve. Dream comes, resolve. Dream, it doesn't stop. So in that same manner, when we talk about the macrocosm, this whole world, what do we have? We have Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. Creation, sustenance, dissolution. Creation, sustenance, dissolution. And how long has this been going on? It's anadi, beginningless. It never began. Because the problem arises, if it began, then what was there before? Nothing? How can something come out of nothing? So this means, see, in the West, we have what kind of a model? We have a linear model. This is why we cannot answer these silly questions. What came first, the chicken or the egg? The father or the son? The tree or the seed? You see, these are questions that are silly because we try to say, oh, it began here. It never began. It always was. So we say that creation is circular. Therefore, there was no point in the circle where it all began. It was always going. Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. And this Srishti, Sthiti, Laya is what we call Ishvara. And so therefore, Ishvara is the one who creates, who sustains. Right now, Ishvara is sustaining this, by the way. And then, once time in the future, this whole universe will collapse into a singularity, and again, for some time, there will be nothing. And then again, another Big Bang. And then we have another creation, another type of Bhagavad Gita, another type of Vedas, another type of Jivas, who will again look for what? Moksha, a way out of this beginningless cycle of creation. The universe lasts for trillions, billions, trillions of years, and then it resolves And then again, each time the jiva has a chance to get out of this beginningless cycle that will never end. So now think about you. You are finding yourself in just one of these cycles right now. How many cycles have you and I been already? We don't remember, but by definition, beginningless. So this is the cycle, one of the cycles that you and I are finding ourselves in, where we say, okay, so I want to end this coming and going, and therefore, just like, see, some people ask, how is it that when a wise person dies, right, they drop their body, the world still continues? Yes, it does. How many wise people have died already? You understand? Many. And yet the world is continuing for us. Just like when you're in sleep, there's no world for you. In deep sleep, you are one undifferentiated self in sleep. And yet, there is a world for the rest of us. So for you, there is Advaita in deep sleep. For the rest of us who are watching your body sleep, there is joys and sorrows and ups and downs and drama and this and that. So same thing here. When the wise person drops their body, they enjoy permanent, one undifferentiated wholeness, whereas for the rest of us, we only enjoy that when we also, when we solve the problem, when we remove the ignorance that is causing myself to see myself as a small being. Okay. So do you see now?
Wouldn't it be then also natural to stay in this cycle forever? This would also be, I think, a kind of natural to be in this cycle forever. Why I want to go out of this cycle?
Of course, it's your choice.
Yeah, okay, but
yeah,
it would be also natural to stay in this natural cycle for the jiva forever?
Not as a human being, because as a human being we experience the pangs of life. These pangs of life cause us to question our purpose of living. And these pangs of life then redirect our focus from just enjoyment onto the existential things of life. For an animal, that is true. For a human being, it is impossible.
I've got just a short question concerning deep sleep, because you always say it's Advaita, but isn't it covered by ignorance?
What?
Deep sleep, because I'm not aware of my...
Good. So again, we come to that where example can only give you so much. Do not extend the example. I just use deep sleep because it is closest that we have for the undifferentiated whole.
But it's not Advaita.
Even though it's covered in all this is besides the point. You understand where the... Okay?
But
so
is it Advaita then, strictly?
It's metaphorically. Undifferentiated. There's no difference. There's
Why it's called prajna?
Prajna. We're not going to put this word now.
No.
Prajnanam. I know it's Mahavakya. Because when we say the four Mahavakyas, I'll use the word Prajnanam.
No, that's not thing. No, the deep sleeper.
Right.
Prajna.
Yeah, just for now, it's undifferentiated sleep. Undifferentiated. Keep it simple.
Yeah, sure.
Keep it simple. Simple as possible. Okay. Now, see, hold on, almost done. Okay. So in the scriptures, we say, therefore, Ishvara is, Sanskrit word coming up, don't worry about it. Abhina means not different. Abhina nimitta upadana karanam. So Ishvara is material and efficient cause, which is not different. They're one. It's one cause. Just look at it from two different standpoints. So in other words, Ishvara is not separate from anything that you observe. Anything shares intelligence. anything has material. So wherever there is intelligence, wherever there is material, can you find one place where there's no intelligence? Oh yeah, a drunk person. That's not what we're talking about. We're still talking about a person. The person is still alive. Their blood is still pumping. Their heart is still working. They're still walking. They still have some level of existence. Okay, so you know there's still intelligence operating there. Okay, so that's not the point. We're not looking at now behaviors. This is making a mistake on what is right or wrong. We're talking about the material is still structured homogeneously together, working and alive. So this means there is not one place where you cannot find intelligence and material. There's not one place where you cannot find this Ishvara. This is to be understood. Can you see now why Vedanta is not a belief? Mm-hmm. Have we told you anything which you cannot prove so far? Have I told you anything that you cannot, that cannot be proven so far? Have I told you like God is elsewhere and you're like, where is he? All I told you is I brought you down to earth and demonstrated that any complex life form enjoys existence, and every life form is always connected to some other, like the earth, like the rains, precipitation, the sun, and so on, seasons. And also the material cannot be away from the intelligence because the material itself is intelligently made. Thus, the intelligent and the material cause cannot be different. And wherever you look, you see material and intelligence. And this we call the cause, Ishvara. So it's not a matter of belief, it's just a matter of observing, have some analysis, and you go, okay. So yes, I accept the interconnectedness of this world. I accept that. And since it is all connected, by definition, it has to be made by the one same creator, just on the virtue of it being interconnected. Just by the virtue that the materials right here in this hand are the same materials on different planets. Simple. So it's not a belief system, it's just showing what even science will kind of tell you. But what science will not tell you is what happened before the Big Bang. This we will still come to. Okay. So when someone tells you now, I praise the Lord, someone says, what God? No need to argue. Do not even bring up the discussion. You know what you mean. You don't need to explain, because we just took several minutes. In fact, we took several days to come to this point, to even build rapport with the teaching. Now, if one tries to explain this, it's probably going to be a fruitless endeavor. So, what God? The God that just made you say, what God? That God, right? But then again, you have to now explain what you really mean by that. Otherwise, they will not listen. So, so this is not something we now share. Oh, God. Let me tell you, it's a nimitta upadana karanam, right? It's a teaching that happens in class, between student and teacher, between you and yourself. So this need not be now, taught elsewhere, because you need to set up a proper context. Otherwise, if we don't, then you turn them off from, they ask, where's this from? It's from Advaita Vedanta, right? And now when they associate this, and you don't explain well, so now they associate that with Vedanta, and they don't even show up when they're actually ready. So one has a duty to share, but not so much as to now create an open box of questions and doubts. Yeah, so this is also the duty of all of us, also me. I personally don't share this outside the class. I don't even talk this with my own colleagues. This is only within class environment. It's only between you and yourself. Yeah, so there's a responsibility here. Okay, so let's finish with See, there is a method. How? Suppose now in the dream, there's these people who are wondering who is this person, who is this creator, and then a wise teacher in the dream comes, and he shows them the scriptures. He shows them the method, and they say, "What is this method?" And what is the teacher going to show them? We've already studied the Satyamitya method, right? But there's another name for this Satyamitya. So now let's just improvise. Suppose you're in the dream. And this is a dream now, okay? And now we say, we have a method for you. And this method is called Anvaya Vyatireka. Anvaya Vyatireka method is the official method for Satyamitya. So what is Anvaya? It means this is and this is and that is. And Vyatireka is this is not and that is not. So you don't have to understand this. Here's what I mean. Context, right? The sun is, the day is. The day is not, the sun is. But now let's reverse this. The day is, suppose we say the sun is not. The day is not. So what does this now mean? The day depends on the sun, but the sun doesn't depend on the day. Okay. So another example, pot is, clay is. Pot is not, clay is. So in other words, the clay stands independent of the pot, while the pot depends upon the clay. Suppose I say to you now, material is, now what does material and intelligence depend upon? Suppose we say material. When you say material, what follows after? Material is. So this means material depends on what? Existence. Suppose we say intelligence is. See, even intelligence has to exist. Therefore, what does material and intelligence depend upon? Is. So what does this mean? What do we say about Ishvara? Ishvara is the material and the intelligent cause of this universe. What is there to say about material unless it exists? You have to first have existence for material to be. You first have to have existence for intelligence to be. So even material and intelligence depend upon what? Existence. So this now means that existence is the final satyam, and everything before that is mithya. You understand this small distinction? What is this method meant to show us, first of all? All this Anvaya Vyatireka method it's nothing but Satya Mithya analysis. That's all it is, just a fancy name. It's meant to show you what is falsifiable. What can you falsify? Can you falsify existence? Because if I falsify existence, then who's there existent left? Who's existent left to recognize that existence is falsified? Okay, slightly before. Can you falsify a pot? Yeah, so in other words, I can falsify a pot. How? I just break the pot. It breaks, but can I falsify the clay?
No.
No, because the clay is still there. Okay. Now, if I look at inside the clay, it's made of silica, just molecules. So now I can falsify the clay also, but can I falsify? But why? Because it's actually nothing but what? Silica. It's dependent upon the silica. Therefore, the name form I can falsify, but what it depends upon remains. Understand? So clay depends upon the silica. Now silica depends upon, again, atoms. atoms depend upon, whatever atoms are made of. Now, atoms depend upon what? Space and time. What is there to say about the revolving nuclei, the atomic nuclei and the electron, unless it is within space and time? So this means now, atom is, I can get rid of the atom, but time is what? The foundation for the atom. But now time and space also is nothing but what? A concept in your thought. You need to first have, this is time, this is space, right? So time and space depend upon your mind. But your mind depends upon is. Mind is. So like this, so this means mind depends on what? Existence. Same thing. What do all of these have in common? Form, 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 intelligent form material, intelligent form material, intelligent form material, intelligent form material, intelligent. Did you see that? All across the line, it was nothing but intelligence and material. Intelligence and material, intelligence and material, intelligence and material. And where did they all resolve? They go resolve into Satyam. Now, how do you demonstrate that it is intelligence all across the board? Because if you look at water, water is made up of H2 and 1 O. Okay? So this means why not three? Why not 3 H hydrogen atoms? Why not 3? Because then it would not be water. You understand? So this means wherever there is material, there is also intelligence. But we can also thus resolve even the hydrogen. Water we can resolve on the hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen and oxygen we can resolve into something smaller. That we can resolve into time and space. Time and space resolves into thought. Thought resolves into the mind. Mind depends upon existence. So what does this mean? Even material and intelligence depends upon existence. So what's the final Satyam? Sat Chit, Brahman, and even Ishvara depends upon Sat Chit. And everything else is Mithya. And to finish this off, now the question is, what is Mithya? There are 2 types of Mithya, which we haven't analyzed. The first type is snake rope example. The second type of Mithya is shirt and fabric. Now pay attention, this is another important topic. Suppose that there is a snake charmer. You know a snake charmer who plays the flute? And did you know that snakes don't hear? So you think that snakes are listening to music? They don't hear at all. They think this flute is actually a mongoose. So they spray their hood and they're ready to strike. So now, but the mongoose is not attacking them. So they just keep their hood open, ready to strike any moment. So, and now they're kind of, superimposing this mongoose onto the flute. So this is the snake's problem. But now the snake charmer also has a problem. So snake charmer, suppose it is twilight, and the snake charmer plays lots of, flutes to snakes. So now the snake charmer walks over and goes, oh, there's a snake there, very fancy snake. I'm going to go and play flute to my snake. And so he starts and the snake is not moving. And he goes, oh, something, maybe the snake is sleeping. So he goes, and then snake is not doing anything at all. But what happened here? The snake is, and actually what? Nothing but the rope. So now, is the snake ever going to respond? No. So whose error is it? It is the error. Whose error is it? It is the error of the snake charmer. Therefore, what has the snake charmer done? He's created a personal reality. This is called Jiva Srishti. Jiva Srishti. Jiva's own creation. A Jiva Srishti. However, look at this. What does Jiva Srishti depend upon? The rope. Understand? Jiva Srishti is what? Mithya, depending upon the rope. So this means I can only have my own private projections in reference to Ishvara being there, in reference to materials being there. But look at this now. If you analyze, so what? Jiva Srishti is now called, problems. It's called problems because I will impose my stuff onto it. But even if you analyze the rope, what is a rope? Nothing but material and intelligence. Material and intelligence, you understand? It's just material, it's just atoms. And those atoms have a certain weight, have a certain size, have a certain function. And so, now what does both rope and material depend upon? Existence. So, Jiva Srishti is one mithya in reference to Ishvara Srishti, and Ishvara Srishti is mithya in reference to existence. So this means that both Jiva Srishti, that means our subjective reality, and Ishvara Srishti, that means this empirical reality, are nothing but mithya. However, Jiva Srishti mithya is a lot farther away from Satyam than is Ishvara Srishti. So what does this mean now? If one wants to arrive to Satyam, what do I first have to do? Yeah, so this means I have to first negate my Jiva Srishti mithya, because my Jiva Srishti mithya is causing problems, and I'm not seeing the public world, I'm seeing my own private world. So this means I have 2 steps to go. I have step 1, release my Jiva Srishti notions, and when I release them, I see this empirical world. But then what happens? Science stops at the empirical world. We have to go 1 step further. We have to now ask, what does the empirical world depend upon? Existence, Satyam. So it's a 2-step process that the individual has to do to arrive to the truth, which is why we always start with values, because these values, as we did at the beginning, are meant to subside the Jiva Srishti notions.
Jiva Srishti is mithya in reference to what again?
So Jiva Srishti depends, so subjective reality, depends upon the rope, the objective reality. And the objective reality depends upon existence.
The whole first traject is also for qualifying. You do your karma yoga, you do your valuation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the getting out of the subjective reality.
Exact, perfect, so excellent. So all of these practices are just to get out of subjective reality. To kind of, and this is what we call, how do you now surrender to God? What does surrender to God mean? Think about this. Surrender to God.
Give up notions.
Give up Jiva Srishti and see Ishvara Srishti. And only then can I appreciate that the truth of this world is Sat and Chit. So how do you arrive to reality? You arrive to reality through Ishvara. You understand? The truth of this world is what? Sat and Chit. Wherever there is material intelligence, that's exactly where Sat is.
So, your definition of existence is Sat-Chit.
Just Sat for now. Sat.
That's important for me, because science has not an existence, you know. So,
Okay. Sat-Chit. So existence is Sat-Chit.
yeah, okay.
When I say existence, I mean Sat-Chit.
That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay, and we will continue with this after soon. Oh. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.